The question that changed everything, the space station's marketplace, was alive with noise. Lights flashed from stalls, merchants shouted about rare goods, and dozens of alien species moved through the crowded lanes. It was a place where humans were rare, sometimes stared at, sometimes ignored. Daniel, a human cook from Earth, walked slowly through the market. He was not a soldier, not a fighter, not anyone important. He was just a man who cooked food for travelers. His hands were rough from work with knives and pans. Not from holding weapons, but today, his life was about to change forever. Daniel stopped at a fruit stall, looking at a strange blue fruit that glowed faintly in the dark. The seller watched him with suspicious eyes, muttering in a language Daniel didn't know. He sighed, shaking his head. No matter where he went, humans were always outsiders. And then he heard her voice. "You there, human." Daniel turned. She stood in front of him, tall, elegant, and unlike anyone he had seen before. Her silver hair caught the light like flowing metal, and her golden eyes studied him carefully. She wore clothes too fine for a market, with guards standing just a little too far back. Daniel blinked. Me?" "Yes, you," she said, stepping closer. "What do you want?" Her voice was calm, but sharp, as if she was testing him. Daniel froze. He wasn't sure if she was serious or mocking him. People around them had gone quiet, watching closely. Even the merchant stopped moving. "What do I want?" Daniel repeated, scratching his head. "Yes," she said again. Her golden eyes narrowed. "What does a human desire?" Something about her stare made him nervous. So, to break the tension, Daniel smirked and said the first thing that came to his mind. "You." The crowd gasped. At first, Daniel thought it was a harmless joke. He expected her to laugh or roll her eyes, but instead her body stiffened. Her golden eyes began to glow, shifting to a deep fiery color. The air around them felt heavier, almost electric. People whispered in shock. Did he really say it? The bond word, he chose her. A human? Impossible. Daniel looked around, confused. "Wait, what?" "I was just—" Before he could finish, the woman stepped forward and grabbed his wrist. Her touch was firm, unshakable. "It is done," she whispered, her voice trembling. Daniel stared at her, completely lost. What exactly is done?" The guards approached quickly, bowing low to her. One of them spoke, his voice filled with alarm. "Princess Lyra." "Are you certain? The bond cannot be undone once sealed." "Princess?" Daniel's stomach dropped. He pulled his hand back slightly, but Lyra's grip only tightened. Her fiery eyes locked onto him. "You spoke the word. You asked for me. Now you are bound." "Bound?" Daniel said, panic rising. No, wait, I was just joking. I didn't mean it like that." Lyra shook her head slowly. "It does not matter what. You meant, among my people, words hold power. When asked what you desire, if you choose a person, it becomes truth. Unbreakable truth." The crowd whispered louder now, staring at Daniel as if he had just lit a fire in a room full of dry wood. A human had spoken the binding word to a royal princess. Daniel raised his hands nervously. "Okay, look, this is a mistake. I don't even know you. I'm just a cook." "I can't," but Lyra interrupted, her voice sharp. "You cannot run. From this moment, you are mine." Her words cut through the air like a blade. Daniel felt heat in his chest, a strange pulse running through his body. For a moment, his vision blurred, and he saw a faint red glow connecting him and Lyra. It vanished quickly, but the sensation left him shaken. What was that?" He whispered. "The bond," Lyra said simply. "Our fates are tied. If you fall, I fall. If I bleed, you bleed. And if anyone dares to take you from me, her voice grew cold, they will pay with their lives. Daniel's heart pounded. He wanted to shout that this was insane, that it was only a joke. But the way Lyra looked at him, like he was no longer just a stranger, stole the words from his mouth. The guards stepped closer, their faces tense. One of them whispered to Lyra, "The council will never allow this. A human bonded to the crown. It will cause war." Lyra ignored them. She only kept her golden, fiery gaze on Daniel. "You asked for me," she said softly, "and now I will never let you go." Daniel tried to step back, but her grip was strong. The marketplace felt smaller, the crowd pressing in, the whispers growing louder. He wanted to laugh it off, to explain, to escape. But deep inside, he felt the truth. Something had shifted, and there was no going back. The bond of a word, the marketplace had fallen into silence. But Daniel's heart was loud in his chest. He wanted to shout that this was all a mistake, but Princess. Lyra's grip on his wrist burned like fire. Everywhere he looked, alien eyes were fixed on him. Some were filled with fear, some with shock, and some with hatred. The guards surrounding Lyra stood tense, hands on their weapons, as if they weren't sure whether to protect her or drag him away. Daniel swallowed hard. "Listen, Princess, right? This isn't what it looks like. I was joking." Lyra's fiery eyes narrowed. "Among my people, words are never jokes." She stepped closer, her voice calm but unshakable. "When asked what you desire, and you name a person, you claim them. And they, in return, claim you. This is the bond." Daniel shook his head quickly. No, I didn't mean it. Where I come from, people joke all the time. I didn't want this." But Lyra didn't let go. Her fingers dug into his arm, her golden bracelets clinking as she held on. "The bond does not care what you meant. The bond only cares what you said. And you said me." The nearest guard leaned in, his voice shaking. "Princess Lyra, please. You must release him. A human bonded to royalty? The council will call it blasphemy." This could... Lyra's voice cut him off. "I do not care about the council." Her words shocked even her guards. Daniel blinked. He had no idea what kind of power this girl held, but clearly she wasn't afraid of anyone at Daniel's side. Trying again. "Okay, look, I'm just a cook. I'm not a warrior. I'm not a prince. I'm nobody. Why would you even want this bond with me?" Lyra's fiery eyes softened for the first time. "Because the bond chooses, not me, not you." Daniel didn't believe in fate. He believed in hard work, sweat, and burning pans. But when he looked at her, he saw something unshakable, like she truly believed every word. Still, he pulled at her hand. "You're making a mistake." "No," she said firmly. "You are mine, and from now on, I am yours." The crowd gasped again. Some whispered angrily, others fearfully. Daniel noticed several hooded figures in the market slipping away, as if they carried news to someone else. His stomach twisted. Whatever had just happened wasn't going to stay here. Lyra finally released his wrist, but the heat of her touch remained. She turned to her guards. "We leave now." "Yes, Princess," they said, but their eyes lingered on Daniel. Lyra looked back at him. "Follow me." Daniel blinked. "Wait, what? Why would I?" Her fiery gaze locked on him. "Because the bond will not let you stay away. If you try to run, you will feel it, and so will I." Daniel hesitated, then sighed heavily. "Fine, but after this, you'll see I'm not the person you think I am." Lyra only smiled faintly. "You are exactly who the bond thinks you are." They walked quickly through the market, guards keeping a tight circle around them. Whispers followed them like shadows. Daniel could feel dozens of eyes on his back. "Hey," he muttered to Lyra, What happens if people don't like this bond thing? Lyra's eyes flickered. Then they will try to kill you. Daniel almost tripped. Wait, what? Kill me? For a joke? It is not a joke, she said sharply. To them, it is a threat. A human tied to the royal line. It changes everything. They will not forgive it. Daniel felt cold. He had wanted to blend in, to be invisible in this galaxy. But now, because of one stupid word, he was the center of attention, and not the good kind Dot as they reached a wide bridge leading out of the market. Lyra suddenly stopped. Her eyes darted to the rooftops. Trouble, she whispered. Daniel followed her gaze. 3 hooded figures stood above them, weapons drawn. The crowd scattered in fear. The guards raised their spears. Assassins! Daniel's blood froze. First arrow shot down, striking a guard in the chest. He fell instantly. Panic spread as the other guards scrambled for cover. Lyra's fiery eyes glowed, her hand reaching out toward Daniel. Stay close to me. Daniel ducked as another arrow flew past his head. His instincts screamed at him to run, but something inside, something burning and strange, kept him near her. The bond? The assassins leapt down from the rooftops, blades gleaming. One hissed in a guttural voice, "The human must die before the bond is complete." Daniel's breath caught. Complete? What did that mean? Lyra stepped in front of him, her voice fierce. "You will not touch him." The assassins spread out, circling them. The marketplace that had been full of noise was now deadly silent, except for the sound of steel scraping against steel. Daniel's hands shook. He was just a cook. He had never been in a real fight. But as the assassins closed in, something inside him whispered that there was no escape. Not anymore. Cliffhanger ending. One assassin lunged straight for Daniel. He stumbled back, reaching for the ground, and his hand closed around a simple knife that had fallen from a market stall. A cooking knife, his old friend, and for the first time in his life, Daniel realized he might need it for something far more dangerous than food. The chase through the city. The assassin's blade flashed toward Daniel. His hands moved before his brain could think. The cooking knife came up in a clumsy block. Clang, the steel rang out. The impact rattled his bones, but somehow he stopped. The strike, the assassin hissed in surprise. Daniel's arm shook, the knife trembling in his grip. He wasn't a fighter. He had never held a real weapon in his life. Yet for some reason he didn't let go. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was instinct. Or maybe it was the bond. Lyra's fiery eyes burned brighter as she stepped beside him. Her hand rose, glowing with strange energy. With a shout, she sent a blast of light that knocked one assassin back, but the other 2 closed in fast. Daniel, she shouted, "Move!" He stumbled backward as another blade slashed at his chest. He barely dodged it, swinging his little knife wildly. By some miracle, the edge nicked the assassin's arm, drawing blood. The attacker hissed, glaring at him with shock and fury. The guards finally regrouped, pushing forward to fight, but the assassins were too fast. "Go!" One guard yelled, "Take the princess and the human. We'll hold them." Lyra grabbed Daniel's arm and pulled him into a run. "Wait, no," Daniel protested, looking back at the guards. "We can't just leave them." Her grip tightened. "If you die, I die. The bond makes us one. They know it. That's why they're here. Do you understand? You are the target." Daniel's breath caught. His legs moved on their own, following her through the twisting streets. Behind them, shouts, steel, and screams filled the air. The city around them was a maze of glowing signs, stone bridges, and dark alleys. People shouted as they ran past, pushing through crowds. Some moved out of the way in fear. Others spat at Daniel as he passed. calling him cursed. Why are they so angry? Daniel gasped. Lyra didn't slow. Because you are human. Because you bound yourself to me. And because power fears change. Her words made no sense to Daniel, but he didn't have time to argue. They darted down a narrow alley, only to hear footsteps pounding behind them. The assassins were not giving up. Daniel's chest burned, his legs heavy, but Lyra ran like the wind, pulling him along. We won't outrun them, he panted. We need to hide. No, Lyra said firmly. If we hide, they will find us. If we stop, we die. We must reach the sky dock. My ship is there. Ship? Daniel blinked. Wait, you mean we're leaving the planet? Just like that? Lyra glanced at him, her eyes glowing faintly even as she ran. Did you think the bond would let you go home to your kitchen? No, Daniel. Your old life is gone. His stomach dropped. Suddenly. An assassin leapt down from a rooftop, blocking their path. His blade gleamed in the dim light. Daniel froze. His hand tightened on the knife. I can't do this. Yes, you can, Lyra said firmly. Remember, if you fall, I fall. You're not just fighting for yourself, you're fighting for me. Something about her voice lit a fire in him. His fear didn't vanish, but it changed. It turned into something sharp. The assassin lunged. Daniel moved. His knife slashed upward, not skillful, not trained, but desperate. By pure chance, it cut across the assassin's wrist, making him drop the blade. Lyra finished the strike with a blast of firelight that hurled the assassin back against the wall. Daniel stood shaking, staring at the knife in his hand. His breath came in quick bursts. I'm not a fighter, he whispered. Lyra looked at him with a strange smile. Not yet, but you could be. They ran again. This time, Daniel felt the strange warmth of the bond pulsing in his chest with every step. He couldn't explain it, but he felt her strength bleeding into him, and maybe his into her. The sky dock loomed ahead, a tower of metal platforms and glowing lights where ships hovered in place. Salvation was close, but so was death. As they climbed the stairs to the dock, arrows rained down from above. Lyra pulled him behind a crate, shielding him as bolts of fire lit the night sky. They won't stop, Daniel muttered. They're everywhere. Lyra touched his shoulder. Her voice was soft but firm. Then we make them regret underestimating you. Daniel blinked at her. Me? I'm just a cook. She leaned closer, her fiery eyes glowing. No, you're my bond, and that makes you more dangerous than they can ever imagine. Cliffhanger. At that moment, the largest assassin yet stepped onto the dock, blocking the path to Lyra's ship. His armor gleamed black, and his blade was as long as Daniel's. Armed, he pointed at Daniel. The human dies tonight. The princess dies with him. Lyra raised her hand, fire swirling around her fingers. Daniel tightened his grip on his little knife, his heart pounding. He didn't feel like a cook anymore. He felt like someone standing on the edge of a war. Battle on the sky dock. The night air was sharp at the sky dock. Ships hovered above the yaw. Platforms, glowing engines humming like angry wasps. But Daniel barely noticed the beauty of it. His eyes were fixed on the assassin in black armor. The man was a giant compared to the others, taller, broader, and far more dangerous. His face was hidden behind a mask, but his voice carried across the platform like thunder. You should not have spoken the bond, human. Now your life belongs to me. Daniel swallowed hard. His cooking knife felt laughably small compared to the assassin's massive blade. Beside him, Lyra stepped forward, fire dancing around her hands. If you want him, you must kill me first. The assassin chuckled darkly. That is the plan. Princess. With a roar, the assassin lunged. His blade came down in a strike strong enough to split steel. Daniel froze, but Lyra caught the strike with a shield of flame. The clash lit up the dock, In a burst of light, the force of the blow knocked her back, sliding across the metal floor. Daniel rushed to her side. "Are you okay?" Her eyes flicked to him, fierce and unyielding. "Stay behind me." But Daniel's gut twisted. He had already seen what happened when he stood still. He couldn't just watch. The assassin charged. Again, Daniel moved without thinking, diving low, slashing upward with his knife. The blade caught only cloth, but it surprised the assassin enough to stumble. "You dare?" The assassin growled. Daniel's hands shook, but he stood his ground. "I'm not afraid of you." It was a lie. He was terrified. But somehow, saying the words gave him strength. Lyra rose again, fire blazing brighter. She launched a wave of flame, forcing the assassin back. The guards who had survived earlier finally caught up, clashing with smaller assassins that appeared from the shadows. The sky dock exploded into chaos. Daniel ducked as arrows flew overhead. A guard fell screaming from the platform, his body vanishing. Into the dark city below, Lyra fought like a storm, her fire scattering enemies left and right. But the black-armored assassin was different. He cut through her flames with his blade, advancing step by step. Daniel's chest tightened. He knew what that meant. The bond was pulling him into this fight. If Lyra fell, so would he. And if he fell, she would die with him. The assassin lunged again, faster than before. Lyra raised her hand, but her shield cracked under the force. She cried out, stumbling. "No!" Daniel shouted. He threw himself between them, raising his knife. The assassin's blade came down hard. Clang! The knife in Daniel's hand shook. Violently, sparks flying. The force knocked him to his knees. His arm screamed in pain, but somehow, the little knife hadn't broken. The assassin paused, staring at it in disbelief. "Impossible. That is no weapon." "That is." He stopped himself, as if realizing something. Daniel's heart pounded. Why hadn't the knife shattered? It was just a cooking blade. But as he held it, he felt warmth running through it, the same warmth as the bond in his chest. Fiery eyes widened. "Daniel, the knife has accepted you." He blinked. "Accepted me? What does that even mean?" "No time," she snapped. "Fight!" The assassin roared, swinging again. This time, Daniel raised the knife with both hands. The strike met steel, but instead of breaking, the knife glowed faintly. A surge of strength shot through Daniel's arms, pushing the assassin back a step. The crowd of bystanders gasped. Daniel was gasping too, but with something strange. Power. Lyra seized the opening. With a cry, she unleashed a blast of fire that hurled the assassin against a steel post. The dock trembled from the impact. Daniel stumbled forward, still holding the glowing knife. His breath came in heavy bursts. What's happening to me?" Lyra looked at him, her expression a mix of fear and awe. "The bond is stronger than I thought. Strong enough to awaken something ancient. That knife isn't just for cooking. Anymore." Before Daniel could ask more, the assassin staggered back to his feet, his mask cracked, revealing burning red eyes. "You cannot win," he growled. "Even if you escape, the council will come for you both. The galaxy will never allow this bond to live." Daniel felt the words sink deep into him. The galaxy, not just assassins, not just this city. Something much bigger was hunting them now. Lyra grabbed his arm. "We must go. Now." The surviving guards cleared a path toward her ship, fighting desperately against the remaining assassins. Daniel followed, knife in hand, his legs barely able to keep moving. They reached the docking platform, a sleek silver vessel waiting with its ramp open. But before they could board, the black-armored assassin raised his blade once more. His voice was filled with rage. "You may run tonight, human. But remember this, your bond is declared war, and wars Never end clean. Cliffhanger. The assassin hurled his blade like a spear. It cut through the air with deadly speed aimed straight at Daniel's heart. Daniel turned, eyes wide. And the screen of fire that leapt up to meet the blade came not from Lyra's hand, but from Daniel's. Secrets of the bond, the ship's engines roared as it lifted from the sky dock, flames lighting up the night sky. Inside, Daniel collapsed onto the metal floor, chest heaving. His hands shook as he dropped the knife, but the knife did not clatter like steel. It hummed softly, glowing faintly as if alive. Daniel stared at it, his breath caught in his throat. What is this thing? Lyra crouched beside him, her fiery eyes studying the blade. She touched it carefully, and the glow pulsed brighter. It's not a kitchen tool anymore, she whispered. The bond awakened it. Daniel's voice cracked. You keep saying bond like I should know what it means. But I don't. I don't know anything. I'm just a cook. Lyra's gaze softened, but her words were firm. The bond is rare, Daniel. It is older than the stars. It ties two souls together forever. With it comes power and danger. Daniel shook his head, his thoughts spinning. Tied together? You mean I can't leave you? Her silence was answer enough. The ship trembled as it broke through the atmosphere, stars filling the window. Daniel had never left his world before. Now, his first time in space was running for his life. The guards on board saluted Lyra, bruised and battered. Princess, the council won't stop. They'll send fleets. Lyra nodded grimly. I know. Daniel frowned. Fleets? For us? Why? Because I said a stupid joke? Because I said I wanted you? Lyra turned toward him, her expression serious. Because you meant it, and because I answered. He blinked. Wait, you answered? Yes. Her voice was quiet but steady. When I looked at you and chose not to deny it, the bond sealed. That was the moment the universe changed. Daniel's head spun. So now assassins want me dead. Fleets will chase us. And this knife is glowing because of feelings? Lyra's lips curved in a faint smile. Not just feelings, truth. The bond reveals the truth that others fear. Daniel rubbed his temples. Great, just what I needed. A cosmic love contract signed in blood. The guards chuckled nervously, but Lyra's eyes stayed on Daniel. It is no joke. Many have tried to destroy bonds before. The council fears them because they cannot control them. Daniel picked up the knife again. It felt warm, alive, almost like it was waiting for him to move. He tested a small swing, and faint sparks of fire trailed from the blade. He nearly dropped. It in shock. Did I just... Yes, Lyra said simply. The bond is awakening inside you. My fire is now yours. Daniel froze. Fire? As in burning things? As if to answer, the knife's glow flickered again. He pointed it away from himself quickly. The ship jolted suddenly. The alarm blared. Enemy ships on pursuit. A guard shouted. Daniel stumbled. To the window. 3 dark ships streaked across the stars, closing in fast. Their weapons glowed, ready to fire. His stomach dropped. Oh no, not again. Lyra stood tall, her fire glowing in her hands. We fight. Daniel's eyes widened. We? I can't fight ships. I can barely hold a knife without setting myself on fire. But before Lyra could answer, the first blast shook the ship. The hull groaned. Lights flickered. The pilot cursed. Shields failing. We can't take much more. Daniel's chest pounded. His eyes darted to the knife in his hand. Warmth spread up his arm, filling his chest, his veins. Something inside whispered. A voice, quiet but firm. Protect her. His throat went dry. I can feel something. Lyra looked at him sharply. Then use it. Daniel gripped the knife tight and closed his eyes. He thought about Lyra standing beside him, about the guards fighting to protect her, about the assassin who wanted her dead. Heat surged through his body. His skin glowed faintly. The ship shook again as another blast struck. Daniel opened his eyes and fire leapt from the blade, shooting forward like a blazing shield. The next enemy blast struck the fire barrier and shattered harmlessly. The crew gasped. Daniel stared at the wall of fire he had created. His voice was barely a whisper. "I did that?" Lyra smiled, fierce and proud. "Yes, the bond listens to your will." But before he could celebrate, the enemy ships changed formation. They spread wide, engines blazing, preparing to surround. Guards shouted in panic. "They're calling reinforcements." Daniel's throat tightened. "Reinforcements? How many?" The pilot's face paled. "Hundreds." Cliffhanger ending. Through the viewport, Daniel saw them, dozens of ships blinking into existence, surrounding them in every direction. The Council had sent a fleet. Lyra's hand touched his, her voice steady despite the danger. "Daniel, this is only the beginning." And for the first time, Daniel believed her. The human flame, the stars outside the viewport were blotted out by enemy ships. Dozens, no, hundreds surrounded Lyra's vessel. Their black hulls gleamed like predators circling prey. Inside the ship, silence fell. Every guard, every crew member froze at the sight. "We can't fight this many," the pilot whispered. His hands trembled on the controls. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Then we survive another way." Daniel gripped the glowing knife in his hands. His heart hammered. "There's no way out, is there?" Her gaze flicked toward him. "There's always a way. But it will cost us." A booming voice echoed through the ship's comms, cold and merciless. "Princess Lyra, human cook, you are surrounded. Surrender now, and your deaths will be swift. Resist, and your suffering will echo across the stars." Daniel's chest tightened. They know me, Lyra nodded grimly. "The bond ties us together. When they hunt me, they hunt you." Daniel swallowed hard. His throat was dry, but he forced himself to speak. "Then if I'm already a target, maybe it's time I stopped running." The ship shook as the first warning blast hit. Shields flared, flickering weakly. The guards shouted in panic, bracing themselves. "Shields at half!" A pilot cried. "We won't survive the next volley." Daniel felt the heat rise in his chest, the same warmth from before. The bond pulsed inside him like a living heartbeat. He stepped toward the viewport, the knife glowing brighter. His voice trembled. I think I can stop them." Lyra's hand caught his arm. "Daniel, listen to me. You're not ready." But he pulled free, fire sparking across his fingers. "If I don't try, we're all dead." He raised the knife, closed his eyes, and thought of fire. Not small fire, but walls of flame. Shields strong enough to protect them all. The bond answered. The knife exploded with light, fire roaring out in every direction. A blazing barrier surrounded the ship, wrapping it in a cocoon of heat. Enemy blasts slammed into the flames and vanished. Gasps filled the ship. "He's shielding us!" A guard shouted. Daniel's arms shook violently, sweat dripping down his face. "I can't hold this forever." The Council fleet moved again. Their ships spread wider, forming a circle. Lyra's eyes widened in horror. "They're preparing a full volley." The pilot's face went pale. "All ships at once? That'll burn through anything." Daniel grit his teeth. The flames around the ship flickered. His chest felt like it was on fire from the inside. Then, "I'll burn brighter." Lyra stepped closer, gripping his shoulder. Her voice softened. "You don't need to do this alone. Let me share the bond." Daniel blinked. "Share it? How?" Her fiery hand pressed against his chest. Heat flooded into him, not painful, but alive. His heart raced in rhythm with hers. The bond flared. Outside, the flames turned golden. The barrier thickened, swirling like a living storm. The councils. Volley fired 100 blasts of light and plasma. They struck all at once, the night sky flashing like the end of worlds. The crew braced for death, but when the light cleared, the ship still stood, the barrier held, the guards cheered. The pilot wept with relief, but Daniel collapsed to one knee, the knife slipping from his grip. The glow faded, smoke rising from the blade. I can't keep this up, he gasped. It's killing me. Lyra knelt beside him, her hand still. Against his chest. No, the bond is remaking you. But if you push too far, it will consume you. The comms crackled again. The cold council voice returned. So, the bond has chosen a human. How amusing. No matter. Burn your soul as bright as you wish. It only delays the inevitable. The enemy fleet began to shift. Huge ships, larger than. Cities moved forward. Their cannons charged with power enough to shatter moons. Daniel's eyes widened. What is that? Lyra's face was pale. Dreadnoughts. The council means to erase us from the stars. The crew panicked. Some prayed. Others gripped their weapons even though they knew they were useless. Daniel clenched his fists, fire still faintly sparking across his skin. He forced himself to stand. If they want me so badly. His voice trembled, but grew stronger. Then maybe it's time I show them what a human can do. Lyra stared at him, a mix of fear and pride in her eyes. Daniel. The glow of the enemy dreadnoughts grew brighter, preparing their final shot. Cliffhanger ending. Daniel stepped forward, knife in hand, fire swirling around him. His voice rang out across the ship. If they want to see the human flame, then let's show them. Outside, the council dreadnoughts fired dot, and Daniel leapt into the fire. The human who burned the stars, the council. Dreadnoughts loomed in the darkness like floating mountains. Their cannons glowed brighter, gathering power. The hum of death filled. The void dot inside the ship. Everyone held their breath. Guards gripped their weapons uselessly. The pilot whispered, "We're finished." But Daniel stood tall, knife blazing in his hand. Flames curled around his body, licking his skin, but not burning him. His eyes glowed with fire. Lyra stepped to his side, her fiery aura joining his. "If you go into this alone, you will die," she said softly. Daniel's lips curled into a tired smile. "If I don't go, we all die." The first dreadnought fired. A beam of energy brighter than the sun streaked toward them. Daniel raised his knife. His body screamed with pain, but the bond surged. Flames burst from him, forming a colossal shield of golden fire around the ship. The blast struck. The shield wavered, cracked but held. The crew gasped, clinging to hope that the other dreadnoughts were charging too. Hundreds of smaller ships swarmed closer, their weapons ready. Lyra's voice broke. "Daniel, you can't hold this alone. The bond isn't just about power. It's about sharing." Her hand gripped his. Fire flowed between them, their auras merging. Daniel felt it, her strength, her fire, her heartbeat. They burned together. The second dreadnought fired. Daniel didn't block it this time. He stepped forward. The blast came like a star exploding, but instead of shielding, Daniel split the fire in two, carving through the beam. His knife glowed like molten metal, cutting the energy apart. The beam broke, scattering harmlessly into the void. The guards shouted, cheering, disbelief flooding their voices. He's fighting dreadnoughts." But Daniel staggered, coughing blood. His body shook violently. His voice was a rasp. "I can't last much longer." Lyra held him up, her eyes fierce. "Then we fight together until the end." The council's comes voice thundered again, cold, mocking, impressive. But you cannot burn forever, human. Even stars die. The dreadnoughts fired in unison. The void blazed with energy. Death closed in. Daniel gripped Lyra's hand tight. Then let's die like a star. The bond roared inside him, hotter than fire, brighter than light. The knife in his hand shattered into sparks, then reformed into pure flame. A sword of living fire. The heat spread through the ship, but it did not burn. It filled the crew with strength, with courage. Daniel's voice rose, strong and clear. You wanted to see what a human can do? Watch closely. He leapt forward, not into space, into the bond itself. Flames exploded outward, engulfing the ship, carrying him beyond. The metal walls beyond the vacuum. His body no longer mattered. He was fire, pure and living. The guards shielded their eyes. Lyra stared with awe, her chest tight. Outside, a blazing human figure wielding a flaming blade appeared. Standing against the fleet, the council ships fired. Everything. And Daniel struck back. He moved faster than light, carving through beams, slashing apart ships. Fire erupted with every swing, shredding metal, consuming engines, turning dreadnought armor into molten slag. The council fleet broke formation, their captains panicking. One dreadnought fell, torn in two by a wave of golden fire. Another erupted into an artificial sun, its pieces scattering across space. The smaller ships fled, their courage broken. The guards inside Lyra's ship watched, tears streaming down their faces. He's burning the stars themselves. But Daniel's fire began to dim. Every strike drained him. Every flare tore at his soul. Lyra pressed her hand to the glass, whispering, Daniel, come back. Her voice carried through the bond. He heard her, felt her, but he smiled sadly. If I come back now, they'll follow you forever. If I finish this, you'll be free. Lyra's heart shattered. No, please, don't leave me. His voice was quiet, steady. You asked me once what I wanted. I said you. That hasn't changed. Even if I burn away, it will always be you. With one final cry, Daniel unleashed everything. A storm of fire erupted from him, brighter than a sun. It swept across the battlefield, tearing through dreadnoughts, consuming the fleet in golden flame. The darkness of space turned into day. The council fleet screamed, and then was gone. Silence followed. Only Lyra's ship remained, floating among the glowing ashes of destroyed warships. Inside, the crew wept in stunned silence. The fire outside dimmed. The glowing figure flickered, then collapsed into nothing. Lyra fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. She whispered into the quiet, Daniel. But then the knife clattered onto the floor of the ship. Not gone, not broken. Still glowing faintly, Lyra picked it up, holding it close. Her voice trembled. The bond isn't over. He's still with me. Ending note. Cliffhanger for future stories. The galaxy would remember this night, the night one human cook became fire itself. The council called him the human flame, and though he had burned the stars, the bond's glow promised his story was not finished. *The end.